Hello everyone. Uh, I welcome you to a brief walkthrough of the Enture UI. So this is what the dashboard looks like when the user logs in. The user lands in the dashboard. This view that you are seeing, this is completely real time. We can see the data moving in, and this view is completely customizable. So we can easily go ahead and edit or delete any panel. In case we view on details, we can see that the current graph is visible here. Apart from that, if we just click on the setting mode, we can go ahead and add new panels, parameters or gauges here. So here the user can go ahead and create their own kind of visualization, the KPIs they want to monitor, and for a quick update and overview of the whole factory, building or industry. Let's move on to the next tab. This is monitor. This is for live monitoring of any parameter. So for example, it can be any parameter that we choose. We choose the workspace name, we choose any of the devices that we want to monitor. We go ahead and choose the parameter we want to monitor. Apart from a single parameter, we can go ahead and choose multi-parameter. So if you want to compare, let's say we are comparing the active power of two different machines that are running, so we can just add the parameter, and as we can see that the data has started coming in, and we see that the active power, this is not currently running, and that's how the visualization will be updating as and when the data comes in. So this is the real-time monitoring. We can add as many parameters in this one as we want. So let's move on to the next one. This is called views. These are customizable views, so the user can go ahead and create uh, 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 tables. So they can go ahead and choose a parameter, they can choose what the column names is going to be, what the row names are going to be, and they can create a visualization. Apart from this, they can go ahead and add this in the dashboard also as a default view of the table. So going on to the next one, we have devices. So we are in device section right now. As you can see on top, we have consolidated all the number of workspaces, the devices and the parameters. Workspaces help to logically differentiate between different devices. As we can see, all the workspaces are listed here. If we click on any of the workspaces, it drops down and shows us the devices that are configured. So right now we can see the powerhouse is configured here. So we have all the parameters that are streaming in currently. So this again are real-time data. We can very well view that, and there are a couple of things such as this derived parameter. So the CO2 emissions is getting derived from the kilowatt hour reading that is there. So this parameter interface provides a very interoperable system. So for example, we can just click on, by just clicking on the setting mode, we see that we have options of adding Modbus devices, virtual devices. These virtual devices are typically used for adding OPC UA and backnet dependent parameters. We have MQTT option as well. So if we click on any of these, so for example, if we click on Modbus device, we can see we have the option for both Modbus TCP and Modbus RDU. Similarly, for MQTT devices, we'll have option of topics, identifier value to parse the payloads that are coming in via MQTT. Here, the engineer can go ahead and very easily uh, add parameters. So these are Modbus dependent parameters. So very easily we can add holding register, read coils, address, and offset value. This can be derived, or this can be gotten from the data sheet of the OT operation technology device that has been currently configured, and this provides a full suite of configuration capabilities to the engineer whoever is configuring this. We have other options such as derived parameters, where parameters are getting derived from different other parameters on the fly. We have options like computed parameters for rate dependent parameters. We have option of manual parameters for the data is manually logged in by the user. We also have write registers where the user wants to write something to the OT device, be it a VFD, PLC, or any other OT device that is writable. Okay, let's move on to the next section, which is groups. So here we can go ahead and add notification groups. So these are emailer groups. If we select the setting mode, we can go ahead and add create emailer groups. We can also add different email IDs into this one. We can delete them uh, as required. Okay, let's move on to the next section. So reports are primarily divided into three things. So the first one is the generated reports. These are custom generated reports which the user can configure. We can see efficiency reports here. So with the help of this efficiency report, we can go ahead and filter out different types of efficiency, for example, based on the production value or the energy. So we can choose certain threshold values and filter it out. Apart from that, we can also group by based on time frames, that how the specific energy consumption or the efficiency was distributed. We also get a tabular view, and all these reports and visualizations are completely downloadable. Apart from that, we have a consolidated report, a performance analysis report specifically. So these are downloadable form of reports. These are in PDF and it will be generated on a weekly or a monthly schedule. And this will consolidate different types of report as well as parameter usages into one to get a holistic picture of the factory or building. The next section is typically production log-based reporting. So the user, this is also completely customizable. The user can create factory logs. Based on factory logs, the production energy and efficiency is calculated. This is a completely automated process, and all the drop downs and parameters are completely customizable. And we can very well create reports, different types of reports we have currently: specific energy consumption report, usage reports. We also have granular specific energy consumption reports for a detailed analysis, and these are specifically for energy management and efficiency reporting. We have specific energy time frame report where the entire efficiency is time framed and divided into time slots, and this is how we can create consolidated reports. And we can very well go ahead and create. So based on whatever we choose, it will automatically get created, and all these reports are processed at edge, so it requires minimal amount of computation and is completely distributed and scalable. Moving on to the next section, we have custom reports. Custom reports are nothing but uh, user generated reports on the fly. So a user can choose certain parameters based on the workspaces and devices. So they can choose the date which they want to view the report of, and they can go ahead and generate the report. As you can see that and this day this particular machine was not running. So if we go ahead and choose any other machine, and we see the power output of that machine in this particular day, we might be able to see. So here we see that we have this machine running, and we have the data that is coming in. Similarly, we can go ahead and choose specific time of day, where we can choose that from what time to what time we want to go ahead and select this data stream, and then we can look at the trends of it. In every case, we have the table also downloadable in case the user wants to perform analysis on this data. Then we have miscellaneous and usage reports. So these are nothing but uh, reports which will record the way the parameter usage happened. So let's say if we take a longer date, so let's say we take from this to, yeah. So we see that these are the trends, and this was the average power consumption that happened. So if we go into the line view, so we can see that based on date, this is how the power fluctuation, I mean the power usage was, an average power usage. We can also go ahead and view the peak power usage so that we can understand that at which day we had the highest power surge. And we can also see the power fluctuations based on standard deviation, and we also have other statistical uh, uh, derived values. So it's has statistical mode, peak value, minimum value. You can go ahead and choose visualizations, and going into compare, we can compare different parameters into one. So we can go ahead and choose parameter. Let's say we choose two different kind of parameters, and let's take an example of power for two different devices, and we can choose the date where we want to compare it to, and we can choose that from what time to what time we want the comparison from, and then the report, I mean the trend gets populated, and from there it can be analyzed. So we have an option of zooming into different parts of the trend, as well as we can move it around. We can download the trend as well as the data, and we also have a comparison for historical data for similar or dissimilar kind of machines. Coming on to the next section, we have derived parameters. These are derived based on different kind of parameters, different kind of factors, or even combination of parameters. These work as a building blocks of certain calculations as well as certain kind of reporting. In certain cases, these are also used in logging, I mean creating or getting data from the factory or industry logs. So we have combined parameter. So we have this drawing machine energy, where it is going ahead and clubbing all the energy parameters of different machines into one. So we have, and we can go ahead and create these very easily. So we can create a combo parameter, and we can keep on adding different parameters, and provide different operators, and as well as different correction factors to create these combined parameters. We also have something called calculated parameters. Calculated parameters are parameters which are calculated on the fly, and these are used as building blocks for other derived parameters, and it can contain a formula which will use one or two different parameters, and we can derive a certain uh, uh, data point out of this, and can be used to create different other uh, reports, analysis, as well as derived data. Moving on to the next section, we have actions and triggers. Actions and triggers are uh, typically used for creating very basic automations, and these can be used as building blocks for larger size automation or even notification services, such as we can create threshold values, and where these triggers can be easily attached to different kind of parameters, and as and when the parameter is triggering a certain threshold value, so this is the trigger point and this is the value that is there, and we have different kind of actions which are attached. So whenever this trigger is targeted, these actions are executed. We have an option for creating actions. In both these cases, we have notification action. So whenever this current trigger is tripped, the user is going to get a notification. These are notification group based, and we can go ahead and create this actions and triggers very easily. So if we create actions, we can choose the action types, and we can write a parameter based on certain triggers. We can switch on or off a relay. These can be both onboard relays in the Enture Edge device, as well as external relays that run on Modbus or any other protocol such as MQTT. Uh, in case of triggers, we also have a very simple interface to create triggers. We have a wait time, we have a target value, and we have an operator. Moving on to the next section, we have user access management. User access management is nothing but managing all the user accesses. So we have root user, where email IDs are registered. We have user access management users, where typically user will go ahead and create different user IDs. uh, we have an option of giving certain different kind of permissions, so we can choose what permissions needs to be granted, and based on that the permission can be granted, and based on the permissions the user will be restricted access to different kind of features. We have user access log to view the login times of the user. So moving on to the next section, we have control panel where we can go ahead and see the Modbus gateways and the edge devices that are connected. We can go ahead and view the details. We can edit the Wi-Fi. Even we can add a Modbus gateway, change the organization default Wi-Fi settings, and from here we can see the health of the gateway, and we can see that if it's green, so the hub is also connected at this moment. Moving on to the next section, we have a logbook where user can go ahead and enter industry logs, and also from here we can create loggers to access and create different kind of analysis reports, and these are very much customizable. So this was the brief walkthrough of the Entire user interface. Uh, Thank you for joining in. Have a good day.